Today I'm at an event in London and it's been organised by a delegation from Yunnan province in China, and beside me are two wonderful ladies wearing the most magnificent ethnic costumes. They made them themselves, or they have a team in China, and they're keeping this tradition going, which I think is so important. I mean, these clothes and the hats are just wonderful. I think it's absolutely amazing.
We're now in England and it's autumn. Autumn is right at the end of the summer and it's a season of great beauty. We call it autumn when the leaves drop off the trees. America has a different name for autumn. They call it the fall.
We call the season, which is after the summer but before the winter, the autumn. And we have an expression for the feel of that particular season. For instance, the trees are dropping the leaves, it's getting slightly colder, a slightly chill in the air. We call this season, or we call this feeling, autumnal. You could say, for instance, I went outside today, it was a little bit chilly, it felt autumnal. Behind me is this tree here. It has a long slender trunk. The trunk is the centre main part of the tree, and this particular type of tree I think is a palm tree. It's what we call a palm tree, P-A-L-M. The countryside outside a very old pub, and these are very interesting. These steps here are for when you came on your horse and you probably had a few drinks and you needed to get back on, so you climbed up the steps and your horse was here, and so it was easy to get onto your horse. They're called mounting steps or mounting stone.
Hello, China. Now I'm standing in a small room outside within a pub, and next to a very attractive wooden painted flower side table. Now the side tables were always placed against a wall and they could contain flowers, books, accessories, and even, if you're having a banquet in a larger house, a great deal of food.
Today I'm in Westminster, central London, and I'm actually on the top deck of a London bus, and this is the most amazing vantage point to see the parade, and I believe we're actually part of the parade. It's spectacular. Just look at it, isn't it amazing? It's only possible because of these very generous sponsors. So you'll see all these people have helped to make this wonderful event possible. They are good people. We have an expression in English, to be on the crest of the wave. This means you're experiencing great success. We could say that at Munai we're on the crest of a wave, because now in China we have over 600,000 followers. We have an expression in English, up and running. I mean, you could put it in the context of, say, my website, I designed my website and now it's up and running, meaning that you posted it and it's working. William Adlington, Munai. Today I'm at the 2020 BAFTA Awards at the Royal Albert Hall, and actually it's quite special because we have a pass for the red carpet, and things are just beginning. Actually, the actors will shortly be coming up on the red carpet and we'll take some video for our Munai followers. So we'll try and get some good shots for you in China. This pavilion-like structure here behind me we call a gazebo. It has a roof but open sides. It's for sheltering from the sun or the rain, and it's normally placed in a park or a public place. A gazebo. In English we have an expression, over the moon. This means I'm really happy, I'm really pleased. So I could say I'm over the moon about my exam results, which means I've done very well and I'm so pleased, so happy. I'm in a public space or a mini park in London, and here for the public is a ping pong or table tennis table. So you can bring your bats and ball and you can have a game of table tennis or ping pong. I believe in the Chinese teams are world champions at this game. We have an expression in English to leaf through the book. This means you just go through very quickly, having a look to get a general idea of what it is, but you don't read it thoroughly. You leaf through the book. We have an expression in English. I wouldn't do that for all the tea in China. Years ago, maybe several hundred years ago, all our tea came from China. And because of the distance, it was hugely expensive. So it was extremely valuable. So this expression means you wouldn't do something however much somebody paid you. You could say, you know, if you didn't particularly like someone, I wouldn't see that man for all the tea in China. We have an expression. This tree behind me is a palm tree. We have an expression to give the palm to. This means you acknowledge someone as a champion or they have defeated their enemy. This tree behind William Adlington, Mooneye. We have an expression in English, it's not my cup of tea. This means, for example, if your family wanted you to study mathematics, but really at heart you're an artist and you wanted to study art at college or university or school, you could say, I don't really want to study maths because it's not my cup of tea. These are leaves from one of these trees. We have an expression in English, to shake like a leaf. This means shaking like this nervously. It means you're frightened, you're scared. To shake like a leaf. We have an expression in English, the prime of life. This means when you're young, fit, and at your most effective. The prime of life. You could say that young man over there, he's in the prime of his life. We have an expression in English, big fish. It means a man or a woman who's very important, very influential, who, if you want to do something, for instance, can be very helpful, can make sure it gets done. Standing in what we call Parliament Square, which is in central London. And behind me here we have another statue. This particular statue is of Nelson Mandela. He eventually became the president of South Africa after many years of struggle. Hello China. We continue to hear in Great Britain the situation in China with the coronavirus. We here in Britain are very sympathetic and support the Chinese people and nation 100% with their fight against this terrible virus. So, Jiao Wuhan, Jiao Zhonghua. Behind me here, you'll see this boat here. It's got a dual hull. We call that a catamaran. Now in London, this is also a river bus. You can come here to the pier, pay your fare, and then you get on this boat and it's like a bus up and down the river. It's actually a fantastic way of seeing London. You know, if I have some Chinese friends coming over, for instance, I always take them on the river bus. Behind me here, we have an expression in English, no pain, no gain. This means in order to achieve something worthwhile, you have to put more effort into it. You have to suffer a little bit to get what you want. For example, if you're in the gym, you could be, your coach might say to you, no pain, no gain. You've got to work harder, exercise harder to achieve your fitness. We have an expression in English, up and on. This means let's go, let's get moving. So if you're sitting with a group of friends and you sort of want to get them to move and do something else, you say, look, up and on. Behind me is this boat here, which is permanently moored by the river in Westminster. You'll find several examples. There are other boats along the river, and some of them are restaurants, some of them are bars, another one is a museum. So this one, for instance, you can actually go down the ramp here onto the boat and you can have a drink on deck. I'm in Parliament Square, central London, and behind me is another statue. There are many statues here. This particular statue is of Mahatma Gandhi, who was an Indian lawyer, activist and politician. I'm in Parliament Square. Behind me here in central London and part of the Palace of Westminster, our seat of government, is the Elizabeth Tower, which is going under extensive renovation, hence the scaffolding. You will probably know it. We have an expression in English, a skeleton in the cupboard. This is an expression that means in your life in the past there's a dark secret you want to hide, and so the term for that is it's your skeleton in the cupboard.
Hello China, this is Lady Henrietta Rouse and I'm wearing a lovely white dress, summer dress, designed by Ola Kieli, who's a fabulous Irish designer. But this skirt knocks me out, and other people too, because it's so beautiful. These lovely electric, fabulous colours come from, guess where, India. And Prabal Gurung was a Nepalese who eventually studied fashion in Delhi, and he adored the colours from Bollywood to the beautiful ethnic Indian things. And he was the runner-up for the Vogue Fashion Awards, which is one of the biggest awards you could ever get. So he's terrifically admired, and you can see whenever I wear this skirt, people are wowed by it, and it's utterly lovely, made of silk with this beautiful turquoise background.
We have an expression in English, to hold one's ground. This means you stick to your opinion or your principles. For instance, I could say I'd chosen a restaurant to take my friend to, but they wanted to go somewhere else. But I held my ground. We went to the restaurant I'd chosen.
Hello China, I'm Lady Henrietta Rouse, and I'm going to say a few words about botanical painting. Now, botanical painting is the illustration of plants to varying different degrees. It went right back to 4000 BC in Egypt and Mesopotamia, where they painted on caves, on walls and so on. But now, in this more recent history, I have done some botanical painting for the last 20 years. This painting here is Helianthus, which is a sunflower, and I hear that in China you love sunflowers. It's gay and we love them too. We have fields in Europe. This is a different colour, but I'm rather fond of that picture. And the last one is an onion, which you all must know very well, all of you who cook. It's a sweet onion, and it has a more pervasive aroma than the...
On this table here I have a few things you need to decorate your house or paint your house. These we call paint brushes to paint the walls. This we call a roller for covering large walls with paint. This we call sandpaper for rubbing down the wood and the walls to make it smooth before you paint. These contain the paint. We call them paint pots or tins of paint. This is called white spirit. If you spill some paint, you can clean it off with this particular spirit, and you can clean your brush afterwards if you're using oil paint. This we call a sealant gun with the sealant, and this we put along any cracks. And finally, a sponge to clean up or wash the walls. On this table here I have a few things